Hi, so I am showing you footage of a video that I filmed yesterday and then realized that there were issues with the sound. So let me show you. Hi, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda, and we're going to draw some cards. I have changed things up a little. Okay, so that sounds awful, right? So I am just going to fast forward through here and show you what I drew and explain to you what books I picked. First, let me show you the categories because I talked about this. So I went through my story graph and I did every genre that I had on there. So you can see all the way from art to young adult and the number of books that I have in those genres. So art, I have 2 books in there. Philosophy, I have 1 book in there. But contemporary, I have 207. Fantasy, I have 549. So I then divided them based on their numbers into groups to go with the 4 suits in the deck of cards. So hearts, diamonds, spades, and clubs, they correspond to the colors that are on here. So every time I draw a card, I then had to go and compare it to the genres in my story graph, and then depending on the number of the card, that was how far I had to go down and count those books. So we're going to go through it a little quickly, but at least now it'll be me explaining it, and just the person in the screen up here at the top is not going to be saying the things that you're going to hear because I'm going to mute her and this weird sound coming from her. A little bit, because last time I was like, no, that is not good. I had 2 microphones recording me and they were both going into one audio track. So I cannot even split those and do anything with it. So here's what we have today, but I did get some books that I'm excited about reading. So I do want to go through and show you what I have chosen to do. Okay, so after explaining a little bit about the genres like I did already, and then shuffling the cards, I got everything out and mixed everything up a little bit and then drew my first card. Okay, it was the Jack of Diamonds. I don't know why I switched off of that so quickly. So then I went through and picked all the genres that go with diamonds. And since it was the Jack, I needed to pick book number 11. So I always had to sort for the earliest added because I want to get the books that have been on my TBR for the longest. So then we start counting down to get to book number 11. And it was The Lions of Little Rock. I've had this on my list for a while. It is a middle grade book about the desegregation of the Little Rock school system in Arkansas. So then the Jack goes back into the deck and I do another round of shuffling. And I tried to talk through the shuffling so that y'all could hear that I was actually shuffling, but also at the same time, I didn't want the shuffling to be so loud that it was like annoying to have to listen to. Anyway, we didn't get to hear any of it anyway because of the microphone issues. So let's just jump straight to the next card I pick. And it's the 9 of clubs. So I follow the same process I did before, where I go over to Storygraph. I put in all of the genres for clubs in my search thing. It's not a search thing, but in my TBR list. And then I have to count down and find number 9. Number 9 is Into the Labyrinth. And it is also listed as a young adult, but it's a fantasy and it looks like it's really good. He thought he was the worst student at the Academy of Skyhold, but because he can't cast any spells, but he finds out that there's more to him than appears. I really like those kind of books, especially because young adult is not generally my favorite, but I love those kind of books, especially if it has to do with students and school and all that kind of stuff. Magic schools, even better. I'm really excited about this one. Then for my next one, after I had shuffled, Django really needed to sit in my lap, so I couldn't hold the cards up to pick one. So I got some Django hugs, and then I flipped over the next card, which was a 3 of diamonds. So then I had to go back and enter the diamonds genres again over on Storygraph. And this time I only had to pick book number 3 though, so that was a little bit easier. and this one is called The Midwinter Mail Order Bride. And I was a little confused by this because romance was not one of the genres under Diamonds. However, fantasy is one of the genres. And this book is listed as a fantasy, so I had to read to see what was happening. And it is the princess of this person. I mean, the princess of this area is who the book is about. And it does say that her family is a magic-wielding family. So she is offering herself up for somebody, the conqueror, to be his bride, and I'm assuming that means that they fall in love. But The Midwinter Mail Order Bride did not sound like it would be a fantasy, but it is. Okay, I had to do a slight wardrobe change because Django insisted on sitting with me, and I didn't want him to tear my sweater with his toenails, so I had to change clothes. Anyway, then I started shuffling again, and it was time for pick number 4. This time we had the King of Clubs. So we're back now to the clubs again. So the same genre that we did the second draw is now our 4th draw. So I went over, put all of the genres back in again, and because it's the King, we had to go all the way to book number 13. And this was Shadow and Bone. I was convinced that I had never read this book or I didn't know anything about it, speaking of Django. However, I went and read about it, and I have started this book. I remember the beginning of it, the opening scene that they kind of describe right here as I was reading this description is something that I have read. So I'm going to start this book over. I went and checked, and I did buy it on Audible. I am going to go back, start at the beginning, and read it again since I don't think I finished it the first time. Okay, so that brings us to our last card in the game. So I am shuffling them again, and this time, like, I can't predict what I'm going to get. So far we've gotten 2 diamonds and 2 clubs, so I'm just kind of excited to see what's going to be happening. I did realize that there's a joker somewhere in there that was facing the wrong direction, and I insisted that I had to find it and fix it. So I fixed the joker, and then I did more shuffling and then I drew the final card of the game. The 7 of Spades. So I had a new set of genres that I had not done before, and this did include mystery and romance. So I was excited to put those in there and count down to find out what the last book would be, book number 7. And book number 7 is a romance called Twice Shy. I immediately had to click on it and go figure out why I thought I saved it, because at first I thought it was going to be a second chance romance, which I don't love. However, it says that it's mostly I don't know what the twice part means, but the shy part is because our main character kind of lives her life with her head in the clouds. And so this, she has to do something to bring herself out of her comfort zone. And she gets a house from her great aunt Violet in the Smokies and goes there and starts a new life where she tries not to be the same old person that she has been before. And that is it. That is all 5 of the books that I'm going to be reading this time. Now, you'll notice that this video is longer than this right now because I did go through and talk about the 5 books I got last time I played the TBR card game. So you guys feel free to stick around. However, I'm not fixing that audio, so there's not a way to fix it anyway. So you're just going to have the echoey audio for that part of the video where I just talk about the 5 books that I finished and what I thought about them from the last time around. So I'm sorry. I apologize in advance for how it sounds. If you can't deal with it or don't want to have to put up with it, then feel free to just leave here and be done at this point, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, this is my TBR cards game from the last time. So I had Profit First, which I enjoyed. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. I think this is really good if you have no understanding of the concept. But I kind of had already heard it from a few different places, and so a little bit of it was like, okay, I already have heard this, and I think that he went on a little too much in the middle, which is the only reason that I gave it a 3. I was going to go in order, but now I've decided I'm going to jump all the way over to the other side, and let's talk about Eleanor Oliphant. I DNF'd this book. I started reading it. As you can see, I also put down here when I finished it or when I quit reading it, which was the 27th of October. So it was like right after I did my TBR cards last time, I started reading this book. And I was like, no, thank you. Like I got 12% of the way through or something. And I was like, she's too much for me. Like I can't. So maybe if somebody convinces me to give it another shot, I will. But if it's more of the same of how it was in the first 10%, then y'all can just let me know that I don't need to worry about it because I did not love it. Now let's jump to the middle. The woman they could not silence. This is a nonfiction. There had two nonfictions in this group. It was so good. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. It was fantastic. We followed a woman who was put into an insane asylum by her husband just because he said she was insane. That was it, and that was all that was required. And even a doctor saying that you're not insane cannot overrule your husband saying that you are insane. So, even though there were doctors saying, I'm pretty sure she's not insane, her husband was like, yeah, she totally is. And so she got put in the asylum. Like, physically, she refused to go, physically picked up and carried onto the train to then be taken. It is something. But if that is anything that interests you, you need to read it. Now let's talk about our 5 stars. Measuring Up was an adorable graphic novel about a girl who moved to Seattle area, somewhere in that area, the Pacific Northwest, from Taiwan. And her grandmother didn't move. She and her parents moved. And she wants her grandmother to come visit. And her grandmother's like, I want to, but I don't really have the money. And so she cooks. The little girl cooks a lot with her mom, or she cooked a lot with her grandmother. And now she cooks at their house a lot because her mom and dad are both working a lot. And so she sees a competition, a cooking competition for children. And the grand prize was like $1,000. And my skeptical brain was like, she is not buying a plane ticket from Taiwan for $1,000. But anyway, that was... I suspended my disbelief, and maybe she did. I don't know. Anyway, that's what popped into my head. But this was so cute. Just the things that she had to go through, number one. And also, she would say that she was making Taiwanese food, and they would be like, oh, Thai food? And she's like, no, that's not the same thing. Just because they sound the same at the beginning, they're not the same. And so it was just really, really well done. And I really enjoy it. Then, The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. I gave 5 stars. Here's what I'm telling y'all. This is going to be a controversial hot take, I guess, right here. This is a better version of Fitz. I said it, and I meant it. If you have read the Fitz books, at least Assassin's Apprentice and that first trilogy, this book is a better version of that. Fitz, I love Fitz. I love Fitz. The books themselves really made me angry. So I loved Fitz, but not the actual books and the storyline and everything. Everybody around Fitz made me very mad. This book has so many of those same elements, but it was so well done. I love it. If you like those books, I want to know if you've read this and you liked it, because I liked the characters. I didn't like the books in the Assassin's Apprentice trilogy. That's the only one I've read. Yes, I've only read those 3. But I have not read any one past that. And this was better. So let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you've read this, whether you've read the Fitz stuff, all of those series or not. I want to know what you think about Rage of Dragons, because I loved it and I gave it 5 stars. So that's it. I got how it went last time, which I think was really well. Overall, I had 2 5 stars. Even though I had a DNF, I still had 2 5 stars and a 4 star. So that was really great. I guess my story graph books that I put over there are really doing well right now. We're going to see how these next 5 go. I have no nonfiction, and I have what appears to be 2 romance, 2 fantasy or maybe 3 fantasy, and a historical middle grade. So that is going to do it for this video. I will check back in with you when I have finished these 5, and we will draw our next 5 cards. Thank you for watching. Bye.